What's up, boys? I don't know that song, but Tommy the Turkey, let's go. It's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all y'all. I am very thankful for you guys. Been a great league over the last 17 years, and even though the commish, the source, is having a rough one lately, we all have those seasons. That's what makes it fun. Can't win every year, right? I was riding some rainbow horses last season, so now, they fell over and they're a little drunk. What happened to my horse? Is he dead? Shout out Chris T. So listen, it's been a little bit of a tough go, not only for the commish in the fantasy football world, but also in his NFL picks. One of my biggest beefs with people that do podcasts, like legitimate podcasts, not like my little rinky-dink thing, is they don't take ownership of things. Everybody's like, oh, I had a great record. When things go bad, they don't own it. I started 9-3 on this pod, and I was singing that from the mountaintops. Since then, in my NFL picks, I am 1-8-1, which brings me to a total of 10-11-1, which is now negative, which is not good, and I own that. And I think that's important. If a guy has a bad take, hey, I thought this guy was going to be, a superstar this year, you got to come out and you got to say, listen, this is why I thought it happened. You can apologize for it, take it on the chin, but you can't, sing your praises and not hum your losses. I just made that up. That's pretty good. But anyway, last week, 0-2. 0-4 my last 4 NFL picks. I had Washington, Houston over 40.5. Pick 6 on the first play. Thought it was looking good. Didn't hit. Packers -3 on Thursday Night Football. Note to self, Packers are still dead. Don't trust them. They lost to the Titans outright. So I said 10-11-1. My NFL picks on the week, I was 2-3. My fantasy picks, I was 2-3. I'm 29-26 on the season. I had Otley over Pearson. That was incorrect. Pearson, the fantasy zombie. Undertaker meme. High score of the week. Big win for Pearson. Brings himself out of the basement. Puts Dean in the basement. Speaking of Dean, I had Valone beating him. That happened. So 1-1 so far. Jake over Terry. Jake got it done. Did he get it done? Got to go check the stats here. We're going to skip that one. Ty over Chris. That did not happen. And obviously Brett over Kevin. That did not happen. Kevin with the upset. So Jake did win. So 2-3 on the week. Brings a new set to the standings. Brett's kind of down in the dumps after his loss. We said he was on the outside looking in. The top 4 teams are not solidified, but they're looking very strong. ESPN, 98% playoff percentage for Valone. 96 for Jake. 95 for Chris. 62 for Otley. So Chris put a security system inside his window. Otley still has a little draft coming in his. And speaking of the devil, Otley versus Terry, a little sneak peek this week. It's going to be a huge matchup. So I'm going to quickly, I have some mail. We have a mailbag. And I received some mail from Otley. He sent me some mail last week, but it was too late. I already done the pod. So he gave me a power rankings through week 11. And number 1 is Valone. He's number 1 in the standings. He's number 1 in the power rankings. He's 9-2. He would be 69-30 if he played everybody so far this season. I did some math. Valone, if you had my schedule, you'd be 5-6. I have 300 plus more points against than you do. I am the most points against. I'm not picking on your team. That's the only one I looked at, but I'm sure if you did everybody's record, they'd all be a little bit, would be a lot worse. But just shows you, it matters who you play. There's a combination. Your team needs to be good, you need to be active, but it matters who you play. And it matters who you play when you play them. You could play Brett when I played him, he scored 190, and then last week Kevin beats him at 112. That matters. Jake is second in the power rankings, and I like to go by the eyeball test. I think Jake, I don't know, I think he might be number 1, but he's number 2. He would be 66-33 if he played everybody. Speaking of great records that they played everybody, 72-27. Chris, the best record against all his opponents. 3rd in points for. He's 3rd in the power rankings. And then Otley is 4th. So these power rankings match exactly what the ESPN standings are. So that's interesting. But this is where it changes. Brett in the power rankings is ahead of Terry with one less win than Terry. He has 61 more points or 64 more points than him. And then Terry, and then obviously after that, a little shuffling. I think I was up at the top of the bottom four. Now I'm at the 9th position. So you got Kevin, Pearson, Tyler, Dean. Dean, a 7 total for his power rankings. Me, a 7.5. Pearson, an 8.5. Kevin, a 9.5. Going up, Terry B, 13.5. Brett, 17. Otley, 21. Chris and Jake, 26.5 each. And Valone, 28. So thank you, Ott. Remaining strength of schedule, supposedly Valone has the hardest. Chris T has the easiest. Take that for what it's worth going into the final weeks. So my picks this week, like I said, and if you know me, if anybody knows me, you guys know me well, I'm very streaky. I started out 9-3, like I said. I'm on a bad streak right now. That can change on a dime. And when my streak starts, you don't want to jump in after I've rolled 3 or 4 points. This is the time to jump in on the streak. Now, why am I going to, some of my themes this week you'll see, make football fun again. I'm digging at things. I'm digging into them. I'm like, research. Packers -3. I hate the Packers. I hate Aaron Rodgers. And then they curb stomp me on Thursday Night Football. Make football fun again. So my first pick, Turkey Day special. And I'm running all kinds of promos and boosts and stuff for today. The Barstool, I'm hoping to wear a nice new jacket next time. I'm going for the overs on the day. Make football fun. Bills, Lions in Detroit. Worst defense in the league. The Bills could score 40 in this game. Take the over. I think the Bills defense is good, but they're letting up points. Jacoby Brissett did his thing last week. He scored points for Cleveland. Look, you can go oppo, contrarian. If you believe in Santa Claus, you will bet Bills, Lions over 54.5. That's my pick. Make football fun again. Now, getting into the matchups for the fantasy week 12 matchups. Okay, we're going to start with Voodoo Magic versus Team S. Brown. Pearson blew his fab load this week. Can't take it with you. I respect it. He said, I need to get some AJ Ryan to ensure Mixon, and he had to get Knox at a tight end position with Pitts on IR. Nobody bid another cent or $0 bid on either of those guys, but he got them for 20 and 18 respectively. And he's throwing all he's got, the kitchen sink, at Chris. He's coming off a huge week last week. Tony Pollard, the number 7 running back on the season. Ramondre Stevenson, the number 12 running back on the season. And Mixon, the number 8 running back on the season. All in Pearson's lineup. He also has Devontae Adams, who is the number 2 wide receiver. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has been good. So what I'm trying to say is Pearson, all of a sudden, his team isn't that bad. He's got more points on the season than me, Kevin, and Dean. He's been the league's whipping boy all year. And I think he can make a little bit of a push here at the end of the season. I do not project him to come in last. That being said, just said the Bills. Chris T can win a championship on the back of the Buffalo Bills. Diggs, Allen, and Singletary. And even more so because that team is going to be fighting for a playoff spot, standings, record, because they're not even in first in their division right now. And also with Christian McCaffrey on Chris's team, I'm going with a projection that Chris is going to the fantasy championship on the back of these guys. They will not be slowing down. They will keep their foot on the gas pedal. And he beats Pearson here in week 12. Chris, big words for you, buddy. The pressure's on. You're sweating. You're sweating. Have a nice turkey. Have a nice nap. Think about, visualize yourself in the championship. My next matchup of the week, not the matchup of the week, it just happens to be this week. It's like the assistant to the regional manager. Is Brett versus Dean. And make football fun again. Brett, he sums up his team perfectly. He said they're the definition of mediocrity. He's got Sutton and Lazard, and these guys just go out and they kind of just do their thing. Taylor's, Jonathan Taylor's been good but not great. Kamara's been good but not great. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Hurts are really the 2 bright spots for Brett. And Dean, he just can't win. And I have written down on my sheet that I'm taking Dean. and I promised myself I wouldn't take Dean again because he has 2 wins on the book. I'm going with the upset. Put Brett out of his misery. He's an injured cow. Shoot him in the head, a la me, myself, and Irene. I just think I need a little glass of water. Brett loses a big game to Dean and leaves 5 teams vying for the last 4 spots, or really 2 teams fighting for the last spot. One of the top teams could fall out of it, maybe. So that brings me to my next matchup. Not the matchup of the week. I switched it last minute. You know, Jake versus Valone. This matchup is big for maybe the #1 seed, but in terms of playoff matchup and things, it's kind of, this is going to be the matchup of the week runner-up. I think both of these teams, I said Chris is going to be one of the teams in the finals. One of these 2 teams is going to be the other team in the finals. And I've been on Valone's team all season. He's eventually going to get Hollywood Brown back, which is going to be big for him. And he just has a lot of guys on his team, like Olave and Waddle and Miles Sanders and even Mahomes, who people slept on early in the season and have just really performed well. And then we've talked about Jake's team, Henry, Barkley, and Walker, just unbelievable combination there. Hopkins, he's got Evans back off a bye. Lockett is back off a bye. Walker is back off a bye. His team is so good, he's got Zeke and Deontay Johnson and Jacoby Myers on his bench. Goddard went to IR, but he got Komet. I think Jake, probably at this point in the season, even though Chris has the firepower, Valone has the sleepers, I think Jake is the most well-rounded, solid team. He's the turkey. He's the 26-pound bird on the middle of the table. And I think he establishes dominance against Valone this week. I think he takes down Mga. And a little tidbit for you. No Ertz and no Matt Gay for Valone. His team name is a fraud. It's fraudulent. Jake over Valone in week 12. And this brings me to the matchup of the week. And it's because it's a legacy game. Both of these members, brother-in-laws, been in the league for 17 years. I can't pick a matchup with Otley in it correctly. I'm 2-9 according to Ott. I want to check the tape because I think he's fibbing. He is known to be a fibber. But Terry just wins. Brett said that to me the other day. No matter what, he just finds a way to win. He's 6-5. He's got less points on the season than Pearson. Wrap your head around that for a second. Just think about that. Less points on the season than Pearson. And his team at this point might be the strongest it's been all season. He might have a running back 2 in Pacheco. He's still got Swift, who's getting healthy. Travis Etienne, he's a guy. He's definitely a guy. Mark Andrews is probably finally healthy. Christian Kirk playing well again. Montgomery backfield to himself. Otley, great running backs. Cook and Fournette. Lamar, very big disappointment lately. Started out on fire. Lately he's been bad. Ayuk and Higgins are strong, but he's still relying on Donovan Peoples-Jones, the Brandon Cooks of the world, those type of guys. Otley doesn't have the depth. He's got a good matchup here with Mostert against Houston. Travis Kelce is a fantasy cheat code. I'm taking Terry. I don't know if that's good for Otley, I guess, because I can't pick it right, but I'm going to take Terry. I think this is going to make the playoffs really, really, really interesting. And if Brett can beat Dean, Brett's far from out of it. 14% playoff chance, Brett. That's better than my 0. So keep fighting. But I'm taking Terry in the matchup of the week in the battle of brother-in-laws. I think he gets it done from down south. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, by the way. Last matchup is me versus Kevin. We'll be spending Thanksgiving today together. We'll be betting overs together. He's got James Cook in his lineup, which is a tough play, but he had to pick up somebody. The other running back he had went on IR, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. What else is new for Kevin? And Melvin Gordon's a free agent, but Keenan Allen is back. Jamar Chase is probably back. Nick Chubb. Kevin's got a really good team. I got Justin Fields, who probably isn't going to play. My running back 2 is a guy who got shot, or Jerick McKinnon. My season died with Cooper Kupp. I have 2 Steelers in my lineup. My pets' heads are falling off. I have written down I'm taking myself. As I look at this matchup, I think I'm an idiot. I'm taking Kevin to beat me here, and I think it's going to be me and Dean vying for the last place spot. First to last is a thing in this league. It's been the last couple years where the first place person has finished last. I'm hoping to avoid that and stay in 9th place. I'm like the guys from semi-pro. 4th place. I'm 9th place. You teach us stuff, like expert choreography. My pick, to stay with the theme, my other NFL pick, Titans plus 2.5. They're a home dog against Cincinnati. I think they're like have some crazy record against the spread. I don't care. I'm not doing research anymore. I'm doing fun stuff. Mike Rabel might be the best coach in the league. Derrick Henry should run well against Cincinnati. Take the Titans. Guys, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Maybe the Vikings will remember how to play football today. And I think they're going to pull it out over the Patriots. -2.5, -3. Take care, guys. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, all right? See ya.